Donald Trump is getting attacked from all angles after recently saying this.
Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Oh my God, see? Trump is going to start a civil war. He's a murderous dictator. He's literally Hitler. He's gonna kill us all.
Whoa, back it up, back it up. Beep.
What did Trump actually mean when he said this? Well, it turns out, and no surprise coming from the mainstream media, his words were taken out of context. And thanks to free speech platforms like X, or if you watch the full speech, it became immediately clear what he was saying. Regardless of the fact that Democrats are totally freaking out right now.
He is endorsing political violence.
Says that he was talking about an economic bloodbath.
Yeah.
I don't know if I buy that.
And using this statement through deceptive editing to create yet another smear campaign against Trump. We'll be discussing all of that and more coming up in this video. Trump was holding a rally in Dayton, Ohio the other day, and in the middle of his speech, he was talking about the issues of car manufacturing plants. As of now, under the Biden administration, we are promoting Chinese-made electric vehicles, allowing China and Mexico to take a huge percentage of the car manufacturing business without hiring Americans and selling those cars to America tax-free. All this is doing is boosting China's economy while ignoring American manufacturers. And this rings true not just in the automobile industry, but so many other things. This is why China has a stronger economy than us right now. Trump is just basically warning us that if this continues, this is going to have serious repercussions on auto workers in America. And this is what Trump meant by bloodbath, that this situation involving our economy is going to get worse if we don't get him back into office. I'm going to play the full clip for you so you can hear it yourself.
Mexico has taken, over a period of 30 years, 34% of the automobile manufacturing business in our country. Think of it, went to Mexico. China now is building a couple of massive plants where they're going to build the cars in Mexico and they think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal. Those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. No, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
Does that sound like the words of Hitler or some murderous dictator? Well, if you're just scrolling through headlines without reading the full quote, then you're going to believe that. The people that are so loyal to mainstream media, they're not going to take the time to actually listen to Trump's words. And then you have reactions from people like this.
So Donald Trump is now threatening the American people and people who don't like him. At his rally today, he said that there's going to be, quote, a bloodbath if he loses in November. Do you folks see what he's doing here? He's trying to scare people into supporting him or staying quiet and not making their voices heard. And to that, I say, screw you, Donald Trump. You don't get to try to scare the American people into submission so you can achieve your lifelong dream of becoming a dictator. Like, this is exactly what authoritarian leaders do. When you look at dictatorships around the world and in history, one of the ways they maintain power is by scaring the people, making sure that they don't speak up against them and their reign. That's what Donald Trump wants to achieve, and that's what he's saying here. We cannot allow this guy back into office in 2024. Our democracy quite literally depends on it.
Now, I think what describes this type of person, and Elon Musk made it very clear on X, it's very easy to tell who is an NPC now when you're just blindly repeating what everyone on the Trump-hating bandwagon is saying. It's like people have completely forgotten what a metaphor is. And in fact, if you look up the word bloodbath in Webster's dictionary, beyond the literal definition, bloodbath actually does refer to a major economic disaster. I guess it's only a matter of time before that gets removed from the dictionary.
Delete!
Also, since when did the term bloodbath become so volatile? I can give you plenty of examples of the mainstream media using it.
Headlines calling it a, quote, bloodbath.
Be a bloodbath. Not only is it going to be a bloodbath, but after they leave New Hampshire, it's a bloodbath on her home turf. That's really tough.
Trump has left a lot of corpses in his wake. I mean, we can count the bodies.
As part of the, quote, MAGA drive to take over Maricopa County. And the headline refers to it as an impending bloodbath.
Head off a bloodbath in next year's crucial midterm.
Off-year elections are often a bloodbath.
This week's bloodbath for Democrats.
A bloodbath at the ballot box.
There could be a Republican bloodbath.
They'll talk about a bloodbath.
It's a bloodbath. I have to talk about you. And
It's going to be a bloodbath all day long.
But I guess it's only bad when Trump says it, right? CNN actually gave somewhat of a fair assessment on the bloodbath metaphor, but is claiming that they are unsure of what Trump was referring to.
Now, Mano, it was unclear exactly what Donald Trump was referring to when he made those comments. However, the Trump campaign later tried to clarify those remarks, telling us that he was referring to the auto industry and he was warning of an economic bloodbath. But we did see the Biden campaign immediately jump on those remarks. We heard this from one of their spokespeople. They said, quote, he wants another January 6th, but the American people are going to give him another electoral defeat this November because they continue to reject his extremism, his affection for violence, and his thirst for revenge. Now, the Trump campaign argued that the Biden campaign statement was being a bit deceptive. And we heard this from Stephen Chung, one of his top advisors. They told us, quote, crooked Joe Biden and his campaign are engaging in deceptively out of context editing that puts Roman Polanski to shame. So clearly different takes on those remarks. But as you mentioned, a very dark speech from the former president here in Ohio.
So you go ahead and say it's unclear, but then you're literally giving us a quote from the Biden campaign that Trump wants another January 6th, that he's an extremist who wants political violence. But of course, that Biden spokesperson is not going to make any reference to the issue of car manufacturing, because then that would require using facts and it would be much harder for them to frame it the way they want. So CNN, I appreciate the fact that you're taking a slightly more objective stance than you normally do, but I think it's pretty obvious who is in the wrong here. I think we know what a metaphor is, and I think we know what selective editing looks like. Since that wasn't effective for CNN, they decided to bring on Nancy Pelosi, and you know how much we love hearing from her. She brings up the bloodbath comment, but also floats around more conspiracy theories about the things that Trump is guilty of, which have never been proven. All of this just to substantiate this witch hunt against Trump.
Should Donald Trump receive intelligence briefings?
This information is very important, and it is important for it not to be shared.
I'll just stop right there for a second, because the liberal media and the Democrats love to talk about the classified documents case involving Trump, but yet never say anything about Biden and the fact that he himself was profiting off of classified documents that he gave to an author for the sole purpose of an $8 million book deal. That was actually breaking the law. Trump hasn't been found guilty of anything involving his case. They continue to press him about it and yet don't charge Biden with anything.
He's even predicting a bloodbath. What does that mean? He's going to exact a bloodbath? There's something wrong here. How respectful I am of the American people and their goodness. But how much more do they have to see from him to understand that this isn't what our country is about? Praising Hitler, praising the Russians. What about him saying that soldiers buried in Europe, he didn't want to visit them because they were losers? There's something wrong here.
Again, none of those things that she said have been proven. Trump never said that dead soldiers were losers. He has never praised Hitler. She is spewing all of this disinformation, and Dana Bash is just sitting there silently doing her job as a propagandist. I'm just going to be very clear here. The Democrats are scared to death that Trump is going to win. They're doing everything in their power to steer the narrative in their favor, but it isn't working. People aren't falling for it, and this bloodbath hoax just makes them look increasingly desperate. Because anyone with a brain can take 2 seconds to find the full quote. Just to show you how important X is, especially in 2024 with the elections coming up, I was able to look up this story and see immediately that it was being debunked. I didn't have to waste my time with other sources because we have a viable free speech platform that allowed me to go directly to Trump's speech and let me hear it myself. We don't have to look at stupid headlines anymore, and this is really what scares the establishment. This is why we may see some possible attacks on X as we get closer to the elections.
The best thing is use X and Twitter because it's obviously a threat to them. They wouldn't want to shut it down or go after Elon if it wasn't working. The greatest hope we have in 2024 is we have a sliver of the public square back that we didn't have in 20. And that's why they're going to try to either indict Elon or they're just going to try to crash Twitter through a DDoS attack or some sort of foreign threat. They're going to try to take Twitter down by the summer.
And this is already being set into motion, with Congress trying to pass a bill that could potentially ban TikTok, setting a precedent that would give Biden the power to control the flow of information on social media. The way I see it, this is not about TikTok or China. It's happening in 2024. So I think this is about election interference and the power struggle to control the flow of information. If it wasn't for Elon Musk and his incredible efforts, this bloodbath hoax would have been accepted as reality. I genuinely believe that. And more people would go along with these pathetic stunts that the mainstream media pushes. It was a lot different back in 2017, for instance, when you had the infamous "very fine people" quote that the media also took out of context to paint Trump as a racist. Thankfully, even Trump haters like Michael Rappaport stopped falling for that.
One thing about the Charlottesville that I ranted about. Yes. And I was wrong. He said the both sides, there's good people on both sides. And when you see the full quote, that wasn't what he said.
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
More people are walking away from the Democrat Party, and the reason why I think Trump is going to win, not just from his Republican base that keeps growing, but people who have woken up to the reality that Democrats have absolutely lost their minds and are voting for Trump because of that. Even Elon Musk said it himself. I have a lot of Democrat friends, but they are increasingly switching to Republican. The shift is well underway. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching Inverted World.